Okay, another fun project. Got this little Coleman 425E camp stove. White gas is what they use on this, and regular gas, according to whatever you have in hand. But on this, in this case, this one is in bad shape. It was my dad's, and he had bought it used, and started in an old outbuilding. And of course, you know how that goes. Water got in, rusted the frame, holes all in it. And that wasn't the worst part. I believe I can repair the frame part on it with some metal and some tin fabrication and so forth. The worst part was the tank and the parts on it. You can see here it's got the holes in the tank. Yeah. So this may be irreparable. I'll have to see. I might get to braze this up. I don't know. But this seal, if it's got a seal in it that from factory that was solder, you know, when you go to welding on it and heating it up, the solder has a way of running and opening up holes and spots on through here. So this may be able to be repaired, and it may not be. If it doesn't, I'll have to order the whole unit. Of course, I've got the parts to go in the unit that I order. They all still function except for the pump. The pump's, I took it apart. It's a leather seal there on the end, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's yeah, part of it's missing. It's brittle. That'll definitely have to be replaced. As far as the stove goes, I'm going to pull everything out of it, check it out a little further in detail, clean it up, see if it can be salvageable. It may be that by the time that I have to order parts for it, it'd be better to just buy a whole new stove, but we'll find that out in the future. Stay with us. Okay, we pulled out the burner, and the valve looks great. It looks like it's going to work. There is quite a bit of rust on the burner, as you can see. You're going to have a lot of cleanup and wire brushing. But I did notice here on the back side there is a hole rusted out again. So we're going to have to weld that or tack that back. So stay tuned. Okay, we're back, and I had to tack weld the holes that was rusted out in this, and it turned out pretty good. I think I got it sealed pretty good. It was quite rusty, but I think it's ready for some paint, and I'll be back with you. I need to show you guys this as well. All these big old rust holes here, as you can see. We're going to cut those out on both corners, kind of just square it up a little bit, and then we're going to take another piece of tin, and we're going to cover that, pop rivet in, and bend this down to cover the sides, and then we'll address the holes on the sides over here later with other pieces of tin. But I think mostly pop rivet, maybe, you know, some tack weld here and there where I can't get a pop rivet in, but that's the plan to restore our case here with. Okay, here's the tin work. Y'all remember the big holes in the side and the front, and I put tin inside and out, so no more holes. We'll be sanding it down, cleaning it up, and using this for the front legs. As you can see, these back legs aren't as long as these, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill holes in these, put a bolt out here with a nut on this side and the inside so that I can adjust, and I'm going to match this with this, which will cause our stove to cook good and flat and level. So moving right along, next step will be the paint. Like I said, clean this up and sand it and then paint. Okay, we're moving a little closer. I got the burner plate all cleaned up here, and as you can see right here in this corner, termites. Had a big rust out here, and I had to do a little tinsmithing on that to replace this corner, because there's a screw that screws into the corner here on all four corners, so it was very necessary to replace this corner for the strength and also looks. But we're moving right along. I'm getting ready to paint this. It'll be painted the same color as the burners, and I've already got like I showed you before in the other video, The body has already been tin smithed in, all the holes on that. Got that ready and prepared. Getting ready to get some paint started on all this stuff and get it together. Stay tuned. Okay, alright. We're on the last run of this little project. It's been a fun one. As y'all can see, I've got it complete, all the paint and so forth on it. The tank was the last thing that I was working on. It had some holes, as you recall, that I had to solder, and as well as use some epoxy, it's Loctite epoxy part. You know, it's got two parts. You mix it up, it sets up real good and hard. There was some small holes that was left after the soldering, and I picked up on it, and I had to use this to finish it off, to settle up real good. And after that, you know, I just applied some paint. Also notified you guys earlier in the other videos that this leather seal in this was busted and wore out. Replaced that. It's a simple thing to do. You can get those at Walmart's or you know, online at the Coleman parts place there on I believe that was in Amazon. I found that, I believe it was, but it was $8 I think for the whole kit to replace that. So once I replaced that, I tested it, pumped it up, tested it. It still was leaking off around this seal here, the fuel cap. I found a rubber gasket in my plumbing parts that I could use for that. Put it on there, tightened it up after I put my fuel in it, and so it's good and tight. It doesn't leak now. Any fuel. We want to be sure about that if you repair any of these things, that you know, you check for any kind of gas leak or anything like that. You don't want to light something up and it got gas pouring out around you. But everything else seemed to, you know, the burners and everything, after I cleaned them up, painted them, they seem to do really well. And I'm getting ready to fire it up to show you guys how that it works. And so far I've been really pleased with it. It's been a really good, fun little project. I've just been working on it, you know, in my spare time, hour here, hour there. Of course, you know, things can run into some time if you don't watch, and that's what I spoke about earlier. If you're not careful, you can actually spend more time and more parts, you know, money on this stuff than what the thing's worth. But this stove was my dad's, and it's got sentimental reasons and purposes behind it, and value. And so, you know, for that reason, I put a little time in it, but not much money. If you think about it, $8 seal for the you know, the pump here and the paint, and I already had the little tin and stuff that I patched the holes in the body with, and I already had the rivets and so forth. You know, my welder and so forth. But yeah, it took a little time, not a whole lot of time, but a little time, and I think the investment was well worth it. I'm going to fire this up here, reset this camera, and let you guys see it. Okay, for demonstration purposes, on these units, it's got a valve down here at the bottom. It seals. You got to turn it, open it first, put your thumb over and pump it this way. It feels like it's already still holding pressure, so I'm just going to turn it off. You'll normally pump it about 50 times or so to pump it up good. Next, what you want to do, since we're just going to light it from cold, we're going to bring this up, this little valve right here, up. And what that does, that opens up the valve up here instead of in the bottom. There's a hose that runs down in here into the fuel. You don't want to start from the bottom. You don't want it to be pumping fuel first. You want it to be pumping the gas off the top. So you turn it up, light this thing, and then you'll open your valve here, as I'm doing with my left hand, and then you'll see, let me turn it back down a little bit there, when this has to be on a little while to heat the generator tube there. Once it heats that generator tube, it'll start turning that fuel into gas. And then you can turn this down. Now you can watch as I turn this down here to the bottom. Now it's pumping gas here. And you turn it up a little bit here so you can see. Okay, it'll take a few minutes to heat that tube up. Once that tube is heated up, you'll see I can turn it down, and I've got it up pretty high right now. I can turn it down and it'll go into complete. You see how it's settling? That's because your generator tube is heating, and it's
it's converting the fuel gas into gas. Now you've got a real strong heat. I mean, it's putting out really good. I know you can't see it very good, but it's blue. It's a good hot flame. And you can just hear this thing just hissing and percolating, you know. You may not be able to, but I can. Now, this other side over here is your, you know, it's for like, you know, if you're going to cook 2 different plates of food here, or containers of food, and you open it. It's got a valve on the side over here. You open it up next, now that this is heated up good. And you may not be able to see that. That's a good little blue flame there too. She's burning well. You can turn this up. You can turn this up and it'll put more fuel over to your second stage here too, as well. But both burners are burning very good right now. I don't know if you can see that good. It's a good clean, no smoke. Once that generator tube heats up and that flame goes from yellow to blue, you're set. She'll cook good and strong. I've done a little bit of research on a full tank of white gas, camping fuel gas. You should be able to get both burners running wide open. You should be able to get approximately 2 hours of cooking time. That's pretty good for this small of a tank. That would, I don't know, I've never done the research, but I'd say that would probably beat the propane. But it's been a very fun project. It turned out extremely well. Me and my family will get use out of this now, like my dad before me and my older brother. And I'm glad that I was able to restore it. Sentimental purposes means a lot to me. Like I said, it's awful hot. It's good and hot stove. But what you'll do, you turn the second burner off first, just like in reverse. Turn your second burner off. Then you'll turn your first burner down to off. Make sure your valve is closed. And that's it. Done. I've enjoyed this little project. I enjoyed sharing it with you. I know that I could have got into more detail with showing you how I'd done it. But for time purposes and so forth, I just decided this time to leave that part off. But thanks for tuning in and watching. God bless.